professional than this, but I'm not feeling it. I'm wound up. More injuries, more bad news. I've got my gripes with our... Sorry, I'd love to be more professional than this, but I'm not feeling it. I'm wound up. More injuries, more bad news. I've got my gripes with Arteta and his system and, the approach against Man City and all that, but there is no point discussing the wider context of winning the title when you can't get your players on the pitch. Now, I know we've got a squad built for it, but my word, the injuries are starting to get so frustrating. And I've kept quite calm on a lot of them so far because the squad is so good. But at some point, you need your players available to be able to rotate. Even if you can get out a good first 11 week in, week out, you need to be able to rotate and manage those minutes better and have certain game plans for certain teams. And Arsenal and Arteta are being denied the ability to truly do that. Why am I saying all this? Because Kai Havertz and Nketiah, as you can see from the title and the thumbnail, they've sustained injuries, but the injury updates aren't looking any better. So, Conor Hum was posting what Mikel Arteta had to say on Kai Havertz. And he said, with Kai, we know that it will be months with him. He's already done a month out. We know that it will be months with him. I don't know if it can be weeks. You never know because this is Kai and he's a different specimen. We really miss him. Hopefully, he will be back and back for the long term as well. So it is very important to look after that knee. So far, he's progressing pretty well. Now, I thought we knew it was already about 2 months. So I would be thinking that having been over a month since... Okay, it's 5 days over a month since that Man United win where he got the injury. I'd be hoping we were 3 weeks away, maybe a month at best, but to hear that it's going to be months. I mean, what, 2, 3? I mean, it's so frustrating. I'm not Kai Havertz's biggest fan, but it was never ideal for Gyökeres to miss a large chunk of pre-season and be chucked into the starting lineup and be expected to do the job from the off. Like, that was never an ideal way to bed a player in like that, especially with the absence of Gabi Jesus, who also has a knee injury. I mean, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. So we're now in a situation where our two starting central forward players of Ødegaard and Havertz, who were brilliant in the run in 23-24, are out the 11. So we're doing something new with a different group of players, and that's fine because not everyone is Kai Havertz's biggest fan. A lot of people aren't happy with Ødegaard's form. That's fine.
We got the breaking news this morning from David Ornstein. Ornstein bomber, people. Noni Madueke is expected to be sidelined for around 2 months with a knee injury. The 23-year-old winger sustained the problem in the first half of the Arsenal versus Manchester City game on Sunday, but is understood to have avoided anterior cruciate ligament ACL damage. Wow. 32 league games out of 38 he played for Chelsea last season. Comes to Arsenal, 5 games in, there you go. Knee injury, 2 months. Knee injury, 2 months. Nearly was the ACL, which would have took him out for the whole season. So, Bukayo, all of that, what I said last week about Saka, I wouldn't even play him and I would, I'd rest him for games and I'd ease him in. That is all out the window. Not for me, by the way, because I'd take Saka off and bring Nwaneri on. I'd take Saka off and bring Max Stallman on. I would still mix it up. However, you know what time it is now, don't you, people? Starting from the weekend, it is Bukayo Saka 90-minute time. It is, if Saka can walk, you stay on the pitch time. It is that time, people. Trust me. So, things need to change. Whatever they're doing, it's not working. The training ground, genuinely, they need to look at moving training ground or dig that training ground up and start again and get that concrete from underneath that ground. They built it on a car park. And that maybe those pitches are too hard. Or the training is too intense. Or the training is not intense enough. Because there's a balance. They were saying at times that Arsene Wenger's training was so light-hearted and lack of physicality that when they came to games on the weekend, their body went into shock because the training was so light. Then they went into a game, someone clattered them, their body wasn't used to it. So players would consistently break down. Now people are saying Arteta's training is high intensity. Remember, Havertz tore his hamstring doing high intensity training in Dubai. We were warm weather training. You ain't supposed to be doing high intensity work when you go warm weather training.
Not good news, but it's substantial news. It's injury related yet again. And I say yet again because we're only on the 23rd of September and already this season, in any other year, with a lesser squad, we'd be talking about injury crisis right now. It's just the fact that this summer, the club, Mikel Berta, done very well in adding that depth needed in the squad to be able to go through injuries and, not worry about them too much. But so far this season, if I run through that injury list before getting onto the breaking news, and that's around Noni Madueke, who came off injured against Man City. At the time, we didn't know much about it. We thought it was more tactical, but Arteta confirmed there was something there. There was rumours from in the nose about an ACL potentially. They got squashed real quick, but then the next day, today, it comes out he's out for 2 months. So it's still a substantial amount of time. But looking at the season as a whole so far, we went into the season with Kai Havertz injured for 2 months, potentially 3. We don't really know, when he's going to return, but it should be at some point towards the end of October, maybe early November, depending on fitness and sharpness. And we also went into the season with Norgard, one of our summer signings, depth option for Zubimendi, Rice, that centre midfield position. He's been out for about a month or so. He only just returned against Manchester City on the bench. I think that was the first time he appeared in a matchday squad this season, if I'm not mistaken, and definitely in the Premier League. So going into the season already, Havertz, who has been a key player for Mikel Arteta over the years, and Norgard, who comes in as a key squad option, especially when you consider we got Port Vale tomorrow. Hopefully he is ready for that one, considering he was on the bench against Man City, because put the Port Vales, the Carabao Cups, the early FA Cup rounds against hopefully lesser opposition are the games that a Norgard, is here for. Take Zubi out the firing line, give Rice a rest. I know it's early in the season, to be honest. Rice looks like he needs more minutes than a rest because he hasn't been performing like we'd expect. But it all comes down to Mikel tactics, and you already know how I feel about that. If you saw my match reaction, then you will know. If you haven't, go watch it. I've given my thoughts overall on what I believe is the problem at this moment in time. And I don't think it's injuries or personnel availability that is the top of the list here. But yeah, 2 players going into the season with significant injuries. You can add Benjamin White to that list as well. And I think he's a victim of poor squad building and poor squad rotation.
And surprise, it went from 2 weeks to 3 weeks to 6 weeks to 2 months that Madueke is now out. And I'm seeing apparently that the manager's coming out with he picked up a knock with it in the game. All right then, Mikel. The same way that Saliba picked up a knock in the game as well, yeah? The same way Saliba picked up a knock, yeah? Listen, I'm not even hearing it. Listen, I'm not going to spaz. At the end of the day, man already know what I think about Madueke. I don't think he's that great. I think it's actually an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace that he's been arguably our best winger so far this season. That says it all about the tactics. That says it all, because when it comes to talent, he's definitely not our best winger. Nowhere near it. But there you go. I'm just going to stir my black tea because it's all getting spooky right now in this phase 6. We don't want to hear no excuses. We don't want to hear about, we ain't got this player, that player. No. You got other wingers you decided to keep. You've got Martinelli there if you want to play him there. You've got Dalman. You've got Ethan. Do you know what I'm saying? You got players there that you can play on the wings. We don't want to hear no excuses. We don't care about injuries. The reinforcements that we went out and made. You got Trossard there if you want to use Trossard. Justify why you kept Trossard. We don't want to hear it. In the summer, how many times did I say I wanted wingers like Lookman and them man there? If you don't like the quality that's on the bench in terms of the wide positions, why didn't you call out the club when they went and got Madueke? Look, at the end of the day, this to me is just a shambles. And the fact that we never get honesty from this club when it comes to injuries. We always learn about it down the line. He tried to cover up the Odegaard injury, tried to cover up the Ben White injury. Do you know what I'm saying? It kind of stinks of, Mikel, this is on you. I don't know if it's the training. I do know when it's in-game management, playing Ben White through injury, playing Declan Rice with a broken toe, playing Odegaard through injury, playing Saka into the ground, playing Havertz into the ground. These are things that you are bringing upon yourself. And at the end of the day, I look at this manager very skeptical when it comes to believing if Madueke didn't start the game with a knock or if he picked it in game. And if he picked it in game, did you ask him to continue the game like you did with Timber? Because Timber picked up a knock a couple games ago and you kept him on and he was limping. You kept him on. So you've got a track record, Arteta. You've got a track record of mishandling players that are injured, bringing back players too early, covering up injuries. I don't know if you're injecting these man. I don't know what you're doing to these man. Do you know what I'm saying? Talking in press conferences about injuries, asking if the player, we're going to see if the player can return, if he can play through pain. That's not what I want to hear. If he can play through pain, why don't you just let the player heal? Why don't you just let him actually heal the injury and come back 100% so he's not out, he doesn't get re-injured, so you don't f*** his career.